Hello, this is Reverend Bill, and today is a nice, relaxing Sunday, the 15th of December, getting close to Christmas. And today I'm going to discuss a topic I really did not plan to, but it seemed to grow its own legs. I'm not sure why, um, because when I first saw it in the headlines, I actually just went right by it. It didn't really matter to me, but it seems to have grown bigger, and that is the story of Lily Phillips. I'm not going to tell you a lot about her because I really don't know that much about her. I know she's an OnlyFans model, at least that's what they're calling it nowadays. You know, some people are calling her a prostitute. Now, I see their argument, but let's, for the sake of argument, let's just call her a porn star. Oh, by the way, I didn't know. Usually, I have my background to represent my topics. I wasn't sure how I could possibly have a background uh, that would do justice to this. So I thought I'd use the irony of putting a honeymoon bed behind me, kind of sarcastic. Um, but anyway, so Lily Phillips, I think I heard she was like 22 or 23. Again, I apologize if I'm off a little by her age, but she doesn't really interest me. She decided that she was going to to promote her own OnlyFans page. She was going to have sex with 100 men in one night. And my understanding is that she did. I certainly would never see it. I don't care to know much about it. I find the very thought of it very underwhelming, to be honest with you. Um, but apparently, I must be in the minority. A lot of people find this really, really interesting. So after she had the sex with 100 men, which she claims, by the way, she does give out interviews. If you care to look them up, I only briefly looked at a couple. I think it's on YouTube. I saw her, and she's now playing the victim, saying she was disassociated and she only remembers, like, I don't know, the first 30 or so, or I don't know what she was saying. She was crying when she was talking. Um, and she said, it was a pretty bad experience. She felt robotic. But don't feel too badly for her because she has announced that she plans to do it again. Only this time she wants to do 1,000 men in one day, and I don't. Is that possible? I know she mentioned the first time she was going to try to give men pleasure. She said with the 100, she wanted to give them 5 minutes each. So I guess, I don't know, my maths, let's just say with some downtime, she could do 5 an hour, 20 hours. She could do 100 men in theory. How's she going to fit 1,000 men in? She can't give them 5 minutes, I'll tell you that. But yeah, she was talking about how she felt really badly with a couple of men, that they only got a couple of minutes with her. And she didn't explain why. I'm not sure if they were running low on time or it was him or whatever, but she did say that her big regret was not all men could have the allotted 5 minutes time. So that was a tragedy, of course. One of the things I find pretty interesting is that people are giving their assent to this. Again, I mean, I just find this whole thing reprehensible. I just find it ridiculous to even discuss this whole thing. It's a circus, but there are people who think that there needs to be a reckoning. They want to know who's in charge, who is being exploited. There are some people that think poor Lily is being exploited by the men because the women always are the ones that are suffering with these things. I don't know how that works into things considering the fact that she's getting a documentary made and she's probably making money. I don't know how much, don't care. And the men were hired to do this, but yet I guess they're still exploiting her, I guess, by their opinion. And So there's that. Who's being exploited? Who's the victim? How should feminists feel about this? I mean, she's obviously calling the shot, but then again, she's being used. So should feminists be for this, for empowering women, or against this because she's the victim? Again, I don't care. Why are they giving this any thought? In all honesty, we're giving this way too much time. And I'm a victim of, well, not a victim. I'm how do we say? I guess I'm what's the word I'm looking for? I guess I'm one of the bad guys here, and the fact that I'm actually talking about it too. I'm taking up your time, so I'm one of the violators of what I'm saying. Um, but yeah, I honestly I don't know why people are talking about this, and I'm getting it to it's more and more. You go into YouTube, you see it. You go into X, you see it. You just looking on the new on the online, and you see it. But yeah, I guess I'm guilty of it as well. I mean, I'm talking about it here on my podcast. Um, but there's something here. See, I'm a believer that when you do something that you find challenging, that you have to work towards it, train towards it. There was at one time, I'm sure Michael Jordan never dunked a basketball, and he had to work towards that, and the rest is history. To win a marathon, to go to the Olympics, you train hard, and if you train hard enough and you work at it enough, and the good Lord's giving you the gifts, enough gifts, you will succeed. If it's meant to be, sure. But on this hand, I don't know what the victory lap is about. What did she do that a sex doll couldn't do, I guess? So, I mean, in my opinion, if you don't have to train and a sex doll can do it, I'm not going to be all that impressed. Now, the current record, and I do not know who, I did actually see her name, and maybe I should have recorded it, but I didn't. I do know that she also says that she regrets it. You can look it up. It's not hard to find. I really don't feel it was my responsibility to record all these dubious challenges in history. But there was a woman who's, I guess the record is 919 men in 24 hours. I'm sure her parents are very proud, and that's again I didn't record her name, but she said it was very sad day for her, and now Lily, in all her depression and tears, wants to try to break it. So I guess these are crocodiles here. She's shedding. You know, there are some things I don't really understand that people try doing. They're almost like, who can whisper the loudest. I mean, kids do that. It's not an official contest, but it kind of gets across the point that it's just a futile, ridiculous thing to do. I mean, at some point, a person can knows that they lose if they just go a little louder. They're to win. They do have walking contests, which I guess they do have rules and regulations about what is walking and what is running. I just wonder about the guy that comes in second to a walking contest thinking, oh, if I just gave that little trot there at the end, I would have won. And diving contests too, I often wonder about those. I'm sure there's some regulations, but I always think, they're setting a world record for the highest dive. Well, can any schmo get up there and just throw himself off? I mean, do you have to live after it, or do you just have to hit the water? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's an answer to these things. I don't bother looking them up. But I instead of doing these videos about having sex with 1,000 men, why don't they do something equally challenging? How about a sitting contest? See who can sit in a chair the longest. That's really challenging too, Or lying in bed. Who can lie in the bed? Actually, I think my first wife would have that taken easily. But I mean, when you have records, isn't there a challenge? There should be a challenge. I mean, I suppose the one with the chair that has to go to the bathroom the first would be the loser, I suppose. I'd be terrible on that. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, as a rule of thumb, I think what we need to do is we need to say that if an inanimate object can beat you at something, it's not much of a challenge. Okay, so there it is. If an inanimate object can beat you at it, like sitting in a chair or sex with thousands of men, then it's not really much of a challenge. Why don't we try something a little bit more difficult, like, oh, I don't know, climbing a mountain, hiking, riding a bike? Although the way they come up with robotics, they might be able to do that pretty soon too. So let's try to do something other than just lying down and having sex for a challenge. And what is she planning to do this for, by the way? I really don't see that much money in this. I really don't. We don't know who Lily Phillips was. I mean, probably yesterday. I don't think I really knew her name. I won't think that I wouldn't think I will know her name next week. I'm sure not going to get her videos. I'm not going to subscribe to OnlyFans. I'm sure some people will, but enough to risk all the dangers involved in this. I don't know. It's there can't be that much money involved. I gotta think. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. But she needs to get a real job, I think. She's not going to put this on her resume and get a real job, I wouldn't think. I bet you what, though, whatever money she makes is probably not as much as she thinks she's going to make. And then doing 1,000 guys, I don't know how they think, but maybe they're thinking, well, why should I buy the 100 men when she's going to do 1,000 men, whenever that is? God knows. I have no idea, no interest. Yeah, no one knows who she was before. No one's going to know who she is afterwards. The thing is, it doesn't even really turn me on. Now, I understand, I was a kid once, and when you're younger, you get more of a sex drive. And I was a teenager in the 70s and 80s, and then it was a whole different world. Don't want to sound like an old grandfather, but the world really has changed a lot in a few years. And back in those days, unless your father had a Playboy hidden in his drawer, mine didn't, or you had a pharmacy that left unattended Playboys out, mine did. You didn't really get to see what a breast looked like. You just imagined them until you started dating, and then you got to see the real thing. But nowadays, I mean, kids are just growing up on the internet. They can see all kinds of atrocities and horrible things, and things that I couldn't even imagine. So they're really getting desensitized, and it doesn't help with the trans stuff and all the nonsense of trans coming in and drag queens coming in and reading stories to them in first grade. Talk about desensitizing. I don't know what the generation is going to be like when it grows up, but it's going to be interesting. But as far as this goes, this is just pure disgusting. Again, when I picked up a Playboy and I saw beautiful Lorraine Michaels, I think was the first one I saw, going back way back when. Lorraine, I think it was Lorraine Michaels. She was in a yellow rain Mac, I think. Anyway, it was very tastefully done, and it was very artistic and beautiful. Having a woman having 100 men using her is beyond messy. It's just disgusting. I wouldn't want to be number 73 in line. Let's put it that way. There is nothing about this that would be interesting to me. I wouldn't want to be a part of it. I don't want to know about it. I wouldn't want to see it. I certainly would not want my children to see it. And this is not someone who's, approved by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I had my fun when I was younger, and I still appreciate beautiful women, but this is not, and there's nothing beautiful about this. This is just horrific, and it's messy and it's disgusting, and I just think it should stop. But anyway, um, that's all I had to say today. My take on this is that we should ignore it and hope it goes away. So if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you don't, well, thank you for your time. I hope it was good for you too. Have a great Sunday night.